right, we are doing chapter 2, lesson 1. We're starting out with slope. So we graphed points on a coordinate plane, x comma y. Now, slope means if I have 2 points, what would the slant be? And I connected those 2 points, what would the tilt be? So I've got, we are using points to find slope, and we are finding the slope of a line given a graph. Well, first let's talk about slope and what that looks like. So I've got example 1, finding slope using 2 points. Number 1, determine if the line is negative, positive, 0, or undefined. So here are 4 choices. First of all, this first graph, would that be a negative slope or a positive slope? And how'd you know it was negative? Negative, it's going downhill. Downhill. It's got a slant, negative, perfect. Second picture, what do you think? Positive, 0, or undefined? Positive, and what's the reason you say positive? Yep, uphill. Good. Excellent. Okay, now these two. These two are probably new to you, but it's okay if you don't know them. This line that goes up and down, it is called undefined. And if you think about it, like if you can't walk on it, that would be an undefined line. You can't even walk on it. You couldn't ride a bike on this line. It's straight down. They don't even make roller coasters that are exactly straight, because the problem is that you got to flatten out at the bottom. And in order for you to flatten out properly, well, maybe they might make a little part of the roller coaster this flat, but I don't know. I would think it'd have a little bit of a tilt. So undefined, and by the way, undefined slope would be when 0's on the bottom. So I'm going to have a number on top in my numerator, but I'd have a 0 under, undefined. A 0 would be in the denominator. Last one, flat, super flat, slope. 0 slope. And a 0 slope means that there would be a 0 in the numerator and a number in the denominator. Okay. So now we're going to learn the slope formula. Let's write it on top. If I have 2 points, x1, comma, y1, and x2, comma, y2, my slope formula is going to be subtract the y's. And it can be in any order, but you have to stay consistent in your order. You can do y minus y and start with whatever order pair you want. The most common formula, though, is this y2 minus y1. That means I start with the second y value, and I subtract the first y value over x2 minus x1. But again, if you flipped the ordering, that's fine. Just remember the y's go on top. The x's subtract on bottom. So here's my formula. Now, we can label every single order pair. Find the difference in the y's. That's the numerator. Find the difference in the x's. That's the denominator. xy, xy. So let's stick with our formula and watch out for subtraction. Watch out for negative. 4, this is my first y. 4 minus negative. See how there's a subtraction sign and then a negative right after it? 4 minus negative 1. What's a negative? Minus? A plus. So I have to change this and just make it one big plus sign. Those are my y's that I just subtracted. My x's are 0 minus 0. Oh. Do the math. 4 plus 1 on top. 0 minus 0 on bottom. This is undefined. The 0 is under, it's undefined. When a 0 is under, it's undefined. All right, B. XY, XY. Let's do 4, Y2 minus Y1, negative 1. Watch the signs. 4 minus negative 1. Those are my change in Y's. Over the difference, the change in X. Start with this point. Since I started with the 4 here, I have to start with this X value of 1. 1 minus negative 2. 1 minus negative 2. Well, 4 minus minus is what? 1 minus minus is what? Plus, so okay, yes, you're right. 5 over 3. And we know that the Y values came out to 5, the X values came out to 3. Let's just do one more in this section because I'm not going to do all 6. You'll get lots of practice on this. Okay, 7 minus 3. Let's do D. Over 5 minus 1. So go ahead. Check your answer with a neighbor near you. Make sure you got the same, and you always simplify. Okay, 4 over 4, 1. And if sometimes I have to write my slope as a fraction, how would I write 1 as a fraction? 1 over 1, right? Same thing. Okay, 3 and 4. A 0 slope has a 0 in the numerator. An undefined slope has a 0 under. So let's do number 3A and B. So 3A, XY, XY, negative 3 minus negative 3. Zero minus negative 4. Watch the signs. Negative 3 minus negative. Because these two are side by side, I make this the plus sign. Don't touch the negative in front of the first 3. That stays. 0 over 0 plus 4. 4. This is a 0 slope. Or you just write the number 0. All right. B, go ahead and do it ahead of me by yourself. Go. One minus negative 2 over 0 minus negative 2. What'd you get? 3 over 2. That's neither. It's a normal slope. This 3 over 2 means that there's a tilt to the line. That's just a fine slope. So this is the formula. In the formula, I'm given 2 points, and I have to do the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Example 2. Slope of a line on a graph. So now I'll be looking at a graph, and I'm going to have to rise over run. I have some important info. I always start at the lowest point. The lower point, the lowest point. because then I'm always rising. Start at whatever point is below, lower. Let's plot them. Negative 1, comma 2. 1 to the left, 2 up. And then 3, comma 0. Connect the dots, la 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 la. I'll have to show you that video tomorrow. I think it's time. When I graph, there's always arrows at the end of each side. My line is straight. You guys can always use my rulers that I have over there. Rise and run. Start at your lowest point. Start here. And I'm going to rise. Can you watch my screen first? Rise up to the same level that the other point is. 1, 2. So I rise, I rose. 2. I don't go higher than this because then I won't be able to reach the point. Don't pass your point. I can only go up 2 boxes because that's where this box, this point tops out. And then I'm running. I have to go left. Left is what? Positive or negative? Left is negative. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. And I'm going to put negative 4. 2 over negative 4. 2, and here's negative 4. So I'm reducing that. Is it negative 2 or is it negative 1/2? 1/2. Don't make that mistake. 2 over 4 is 1/2. 4 over 2 is 2. You need to know this by now. Let's turn the page. Use the graph to find the slope of the line. I am rising over run, which is my y over x. Y goes up and down. X goes left and right. So it's y over x. Slope is y over x. Start at your lowest point. Here. I'm going to rise. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm running to the right. Positive. 1, 2, 3, 4. My slope is 3/4. All right, B. Rise. Oh, I can't because it's a flat line. Run. You guys, what's the slope of this line? 0, rise. 5 over 0 slope. Simplifies to 0. Use a table to find the slope below. That means what's happening in the y's. Remember here in the front page, I said, what's the difference in the y's? What's the difference in the x's? Well, if I look at a table of values, number 3, how are my y's changing? What's happening here? Adding 3 or subtracting 3? Negative 3, negative 6, negative 9, negative 12. I'm subtracting 3. So my y value is that I'm subtracting 3. What's happening to my x? 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7. What's happening to x? Adding 2. My slope is negative 3/2. And I really want you to remember that the negative sign would go with the numerator if I had, well, as we go further along, I'm going to assign the negative with the numerator. That'll be in like a couple days. I'll talk about that again. Number 4, how are my y's changing? 5 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 11, plus 2. How are my x's changing? plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. And I could easily just write that my slope is 2. If I need fraction form, 2 over 1. If I don't need fraction form, 2. All right. Example 3. Sketch the graph of y equals negative 1. That means, you guys, that if I had a table of values, all my y's would be negative 1. I don't even care what the x's are. On the y-axis, plot at 0, negative 1. There it is. And I have to make a line that would match up with all of my y values being negative 1. So this is a little bit backwards of what your brain might want to do. If all my y's have to be negative 1, then I need to draw a horizontal line through this dot. It's going to be like this. And I'm making it more profound because I'm trying to do red over black, and it's just, Every single point on this red line, my y value is negative 1. 1, negative 1. 2, negative 1. Negative 1, negative 1. Negative 2, negative 1. Isn't that true? That all my y values are negative 1? So this is a really big thing for you guys to get. It doesn't have an x in it. It just says y equals negative 1. That means it doesn't have a slope. There's no tilt to it. A slope is how much a line tilts. Now, next one. Sketch the graph of x equals 2. If I were to draw a table of values, all of my x's would be 2. 2 comma something. 2 comma something. Over 2, up what? So go on the x-axis. On x-axis, plot 2 comma 0. There's 2 comma 0. And if all of my points have to have 2 in the x, over 2, up 2. Over 2, up 3. Great. Over 2, down 3. Yeah. I'm drawing a vertical line. Okay. So now let's discuss this graphic organizer that you got. So on this graphic organizer, I have 2 ways to find slope. Way number 1. You know what? I actually want this to be on the screen. So, but if I do it on the screen, then the recording won't pick it up. Bummer. Okay. The formula. What's the formula again? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Yeah. And let's do an example. You can label 5, 2, and 6, 4, xy, xy. Do you want me to put the little ones there? x1, y1, x2, y2. And do the subtraction problem. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, 6 minus 5. 4 minus 2, y2 minus y1, 4 minus 2 over 6 minus 5. and then do the math. Using a table is going to be, how do the y's change? 0 becomes -2. -2 becomes -4. Subtracting 2, right? -2 over, how do my y's change? 2 becomes 6. 6 becomes 10. Ooh, what's that? +4. Y over x. -2 over +4. That reduces to, or simplifies to what? New volunteers. I'm hearing the same voices. -2/4 reduces to. Yep. -1/2. If I have a slope of a line that's got a graph, my rule is that I rise first over run. And I don't want you to start at the left point. I want you to start at the lower point. So, rise up. 1, 2. Run, 1. 2 over 1. Rise over run. Lastly, draw a picture of a line on the right side that would be a positive slope. Kind of show me what the line would look like. What direction would it be going? Then draw a negative slope line. What direction would that be going? Then draw a 0 slope, because a 0 slope means that 0 is on the top and a number is on the bottom. Undefined means that there's a number on top and 0 on the bottom. Positive. Does yours uphill like that? Uphill line. Negative slope. Downhill line. 0 slope. Horizontal. Undefined slope. Vertical. Excellent. I'll stop the video.